everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 5 of Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. Oh, man. Oh, what a good season this has been, right? It has been amazing so far, and the last episode was terrifying. As everybody except Mob seems to be brainwashed by Dimple. Like, even Reagan is suspect to be brainwashed. So I think maybe Mob and Teru are the only ones that aren't brainwashed at this point. But Teru, by the time Mob gets to him, he might be brainwashed as well. We don't know. He nearly was twice already. So it's insanity. But Mob, I love the idea that Mob is like, he's realized that he technically was the founder of the Psycho Helmet religion. So he's not exactly going along with what Masato wanted originally in becoming the founder, but he kind of has accepted the fact that he is, and so he needs to go this route to face Dimple, right? Because Dimple's hurting people that he likes, and he's got to confront Dimple about it. So this season has been so crazy so far, and I can't believe we're already on episode 5. It's just... I'm trying to savor it for all that I can, but at the same time, I want to watch so bad that it's hard not to binge, right? It's hard not to binge, but we have a healthy dose of the Reagan Thirst update before we begin this episode, so we need to get to it, right? We need to get started. And so we have, before we get to Reagan, there was a lot of, with episode 3, a lot of the maid cafe, or episode 2 rather, a lot of the maid cafe imagery that I have been informed through the Discord has quite a bit of fan art for, especially Ritsu in the maid outfit. And I was living. So there was so much shared in the Discord. I really had to cherry pick my favorites of the Ritsu maid fan art extravaganza that Truck in the Discord left us. But these are my 4 favorites of Ritsu. This first one is a Ritsu. He looks like Mei Lin from Black Butler. He's in Mei Lin's outfit with the knives on the garter belts. That feels very Ritsu. Ritsu would so have something like that at his disposal. Absolutely, right? Then you have, I love that line, line art of Ritsu is great. Then you have Mob and Ritsu with the no in the maid outfits. I love that Ritsu is just over it. He does not have any interest in being that maid costume anymore. I honestly love Mob's because Mob's is very fitting to Mob's personality. It has the long sleeves and it's very modest. Mob doesn't want to show off their body in any way. It fits Mob's personality really well. It's very cute. I like it. It kind of has a little bit of macabre angle to it. I really like this one too, where Ritsu is they're a little bit older in this one. Ritsu looks a little bit older than a middle school kid. He looks like he's in high school, but he's got the maid outfit on and the sneakers and stuff, and he looks very disgruntled. And then Sho's just I think you look pretty. That's really what Sho looks like. Sho's I think you look great in it. I don't know why you changed. Sho was all about it. And so I'm of course they were. So yeah, I love that one where they're just looking at each other and Ritsu's I guess I'll wear it if you like it. And Ritsu's mm-hmm. And Sho's yes, I do. So it's really cute. But honestly, of all the Ritsu maid outfit fan art that was shared, this one is my favorite. And it is of Kiki's delivery service, but with Ritsu and the bag. And then you have the little ghost of Mob is hanging off the broom. That's really, really freaking cute. I love that, honestly, so much. It's adorable, right? So those of Ritsu are really nice. I liked those a lot. But it would not be the Reagan Thirst update, of course, if we did not feature some Reagan fan art. And again, Discord has come through to give me some really good gems. Kiri shared this one from Twitter. I love the trio of Dimple in the bodyguard body, and then Sarazawa and Reagan. It just is so well drawn and they look so happy. I'm I feel like Dimple approves of Reagan and Sarazawa because it gets Reagan out of Mob's hair and that's what Dimple wants. So fine thing. Again, I really hope that throughout all of this, Sarazawa has just been in classes the whole time. He comes out, he's hey, what happened, guys? Doesn't realize the town's been brainwashed. We can only hope so much. But I also love this one shared by Cade Art. I've featured a lot of their artwork on here in the Reagan Thirst Update because it's so freaking good. But yeah, the Yakuza Reagan with the fedora and the fur-trimmed coat, the chain coming across the jacket, the tie, the pinstripes, And then you have actually, Sarazawa is the one with the actual Tommy gun. He's the one that's given the protection with the orange scarf, looking super serious, like protecting his man Reagan. Living for it. Living for it. And speaking of suits, another Kate art one that Bree shared that is just like, you have Mob, Sarazawa, Dimple, and Reagan in the black suits, looking so debonair. Men in Black indeed. I freaking love it. It's so good. Mwah. Perfection. So these fan art, I have a lot more, but I think I'm going to save them for episode 6 because there was just so much and I didn't want this Thirst update to be like 10 minutes long. So there was a lot of Reagan Thirst update art, but we will save it until we get to that point, right? But yeah, so we're still on this whole bout with the Divine Tree. The last episode was Divine Tree 1, so I'm assuming this will be Divine Tree 2. Whether it's a third part or not, it probably will be because it's an arc, but I don't know, y'all. Last episode was so surprising and terrifying with the brainwashing. I don't know what we're getting out of this one, but I'm really excited to see what happens. So we're not going to waste any more time, y'all. I hope y'all enjoy this episode, but we are going to start Mob Psycho 100, Season 3, Episode 5. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And y'all, let's jam. This episode went by so fast. So fast. I don't know what we're going to talk about because it was mainly action, but we do have things to talk about. I can't say that, but this was such an action-heavy episode, and mainly it was Mob fighting Dimple and Mob trying to reach Dimple, of all things. Isn't that funny? So, man, but what the creepiness of this episode and the last episode, I was like, no. The moment that Teru turned, it was like a Reagan moment, because even the strongest individuals like Reagan and Teru, they succumbed to it. Although I think Teru kind of snapped out of it there right at the end. We'll talk about that. But the fact of all the exposure, that makes sense now. So we'll kind of go through why they were all affected by it. But maybe not Tsubomi. Maybe not Tsubomi. She might not have been affected by it. We're going to talk about her. This was an interesting episode for Tsubomi for 2 reasons, and we get to it. And I'm like, okay, all right, show. I see what you're laying down there, right? I'm seeing what you're laying down. I'm good with this, but we're going to talk about it. But man, Dimple's deal. Dimple is so fascinating to me because he started out in season 1 wanting to be a cult leader, wanting to be like the god of this little organization, right? And Mob kind of shut it down. And Dimple kind of realized Mob was this powerful being and hung around with him. And then as the series has progressed, Dimple has kind of come to like Mob and come to give him advice and watch over him. But then Dimple kind of is like, it's almost like Dimple kind of lost his way in a sense, and he used Mob to kind of get back on track, but it's sort of like a reverse Reagan in a lot of ways, because you had Reagan who kind of lost his way, and then through Mob, he found his calling. He found like his inspiration to like be his own person and do his own thing. And Mob was kind of the impetus for that. And so in return, he kind of helps Mob out. And it almost seems like Dimple is sort of going that same direction, except Dimple decides, he kind of like goes, wait, no, I don't want to change. I want to go back to my old objective and go back to the past. And maybe if Mob helps me, we'll become even stronger than before. And that's kind of where he's at. And Dimple knows how in the past, Mob has been very insecure about his own self-esteem, about how others view him. And so in a way, it's like Dimple wants to help Mob, but he's trying to double dip and help himself. And Mob is just a tool to help further that. But there's a caring there, and it's very odd. And I think Mob sees through it. And Mob's like, Dimple, I know you're better than this. I know we've been through so much together that this isn't you. This isn't really what you want to do. You don't even know what you're doing. But he's like, but I don't want to become a god. Mob's like, I don't want to become a religious leader. I don't want to become a cult leader. He's like, I don't want any of that. He's like, you need to stop, right? And so there's lots of things in this episode that Dimple does to try to persuade Mob. And the Mob of season 1 might have been persuaded by all of this. But we as the audience, what's cool is we've seen Mob grow throughout this entire series to the point where he's like, no. He's like, you're hurting my friends and family. You're making them turn on me. I don't like that. I don't like you taking away their free will. You need to stop, Dimple. And he's like, and I know, Dimple, that you are better than this. It's like Mob doesn't want to exorcise Dimple. He doesn't. But he's like, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to do it. And I was like, I don't think Dimple realizes how serious Mob is until he pushes his buttons just a little bit too far. But let's go through this episode. So he starts out by like having everybody like, it's just like Dimple wants Mob to be wooed over to the dark side. And he's like, look, everyone's acknowledging you as the first founder and looking at you. Isn't that what you've always wanted? You've wanted to be, we go back to Giga Chad Mob from a few episodes ago where Dimple saw that. He's like, don't you want to be popular? Don't you want everybody looking at you? Don't you want them acknowledging you? Like, look, I'm giving you everything that you want. But Mob, that's not genuine to him. Mob's like, no, this isn't real. It's not real praise. You're orchestrating it. You're making them do it. So it's not the same. And he's like, who are you? Is this Psycho Helmet's on? And he's like, how do you like all the clapping and cheering you've never experienced before? But like when he pans over to the Body Improvement Club, I'm like, what do you mean the cheering and clapping he's never experienced before? The Body Improvement Club have been there for him this entire time. They have constantly cheered for Mob. Reagan has cheered for Mob. Like I think Dimple, it's like Dimple forgets that Mob has had support throughout this series. It's just not been to the level that Dimple maybe thinks Mob deserves. And there's such a weird dynamic there. But the moment he showed the Body Improvement Club, I'm like, but they've all supported him. And it's like, doesn't it feel great? And then, yeah, he got Tsubomi-chan too. But the thing of it is, did he get Tsubomi-chan? There's such a weird question there of did he get Tsubomi-chan or not? Because she's clapping with him like she's fitting in with the crowd, like she's pretending. But her eyes are closed where she's like you can't see her expression. So there is a question throughout this entire episode of, is Tsubomi-chan really brainwashed, or is she following along with the group to not stand out and not make Mob any more stressed out? That is the thing. I had a lot of people say, like, back during the marathon, they're like, oh, Tsubomi-chan didn't want to draw Mob's attention because she didn't want him to get distracted from his mission. And that's fair. I think that's a fair assumption that you can make about her, that she didn't want to distract him. That's cool. And that kind of aligns more with this moment, that if she's trying not to stand out, she doesn't want Dimple to know. Tsubomi has shown that she's smart, right? She's just a little manic pixie dream girl for me, but she shows that she is smart. So clearly you could assume that she doesn't want to stand out because she doesn't want to show Dimple that she's not brainwashed, because that would bring more trauma to Mob, right? Whether she is or not, we don't know. I don't want to know. Don't tell me in the comments. We'll find out as we go. But I don't want to know yet. But that we'll talk about Tsubomi some more, but that is interesting about her. And Mom's like, I don't care about this laughter and clapping because it's not real. It's all fabricated, right? He's like, let's talk face to face. I'm at the base of the broccoli. And Dimple says, I love that you can tell it's Dimple instantly. He's like, damn it, it's not a broccoli. Dimple is trying to be as like serious and intimidating as possible. And he's like, come, Mob, come to my secret lair. And Mob's like, okay, I'm at the base of the broccoli. And he's like, damn it, Mob, it's not a broccoli. Play along. Like, it's just a game to Dimple. And Mob's like, this is not a game. This is people's lives you are affecting. It is not a game. It is not fair. Stop it. But the moment he says, damn it, it's not a broccoli anymore, he says, this thing has absorbed all the emotions from those people and has become something entirely different. Which is kind of cool because it ties back to season 2. The whole impetus for the broccoli sprouting was that he had the seeds in his pocket, and the power that he absorbed from Suzuki and him, Suzuki like trying to release all this energy and potentially hurting himself, he absorbed it, and that emotion connected with the broccoli, and it did become something completely different. So I like this idea of something simple with a little bit of faith and thought and X, Y, and Z transforms into something that it wasn't, right? He's like, have you ever strongly believed in something? And Mob doesn't answer that question. Mob doesn't answer the question. He's a middle schooler. Like, asking if he's ever strongly believed in something, asking a 12-year-old that, or a 13-year-old, that's a lot, right? He says the aggregation of powerful belief can sometimes manifest into reality. And there is that is kind of cool because it's the idea of like when people, you know, if you pray for something and then something, if you pray for a certain thing and then that certain thing happens, it does seem to be like an aggregation of something manifesting into reality. So yeah, I like that Dimple's tapping into that in this speech, this monologue to Mob. The monologues to Mob basically is this episode. A great change is about to happen in this world. Like, he wants to take over the whole world. He just wants to have it all pop up everywhere. All these broccolis sprout everywhere and divine trees be in every location. And he's like, we'll become this god named the Psycho Helmet. But the thing of it is that's so fascinating is that Dimple, the god that Dimple creates, is not in Dimple's image, but it is of Mob. So it's almost like inherently Dimple doesn't believe in himself enough to make him the god. He has to make it after someone else that he thinks is more powerful and more recognizable. Because I'm like, if you brainwashed the people, you could just make yourself into the deity and convince them that they were wrong about the picture and that you were the right image, right? So it's fascinating that Dimple doesn't seem to have enough self-confidence to believe that he himself could be the deity. He has to rely on this image of Mob, right? So that's saying something in itself, that Dimple doesn't have enough faith in himself. He needs Mob to make it work, right? He's like, this thing is going to take physical form and ascend. And then at that point, Mob realizes exactly what this is talking about. He's like, oh, we're talking about gods. This is Dimple. He's like, you're just a coordinator for this group. And then the poor butterfly from like the last episode, the metaphor, the butterfly is like dead on the ground. He's like, I'm going to claim that Psycho Helmet is the reincarnation of their great creator. And then he like crushes the stick. I'll lead the people down the right path and give their hearts peace. Which, you know, sounds fine on the surface. You're like, oh, I'm going to help the people gain inner peace. But I'm like, Dimple has never cared about inner peace for anyone. So why is he now saying it, right? It's like, where was his backstory where he was searching for inner peace for people? And Mob's like, the right path. I like that Mob's talking to Dimple as he's scaling the broccoli. He's like, is giving people peace of mind even effective? Can you even do that? And then I love that Dimple's like, well, who the hell knows? I'm making this shit up. Yeah, he's like, I'm just, having this flowery language. So Dimple doesn't know what he's doing. He has no clue. He's like, I'm just making this up. It just sounds really cool and religious, right? He's like, you just pray 5 minutes a day towards the divine tree and I suck up your spirit energy. This is like a damn Sailor Moon episode, honestly. Dimple and the divine tree, I feel like it's a Sailor Moon episode and Queen Beryl is like using this divine tree to suck the energy out of all the people in Tokyo, right? It just feels like a Sailor Moon episode, which Dimple would so be a Sailor Moon villain, right? And Tsubomi-chan would be Sailor V, of course. That becomes my sustenance. And Mob's like, oh, there's you. The followers will figure out the rest and with however they interpret this. So, I mean, that's pretty nice little dig into religion. The idea that, oh, I'm just going to put this out here and people are just going to interpret it however they want to and that's up to them. I mean, that's a pretty big dig at religion in itself, or organized religion. And Mob Mob doesn't say anything. Mob is soaking it all in and processing it and being like, okay, what do I do with this? And then Dimple saying, you look like you have something you want to say. And he's like, but look, the believers are all having a great time too. And that's when Mob notices that not only is it Ritsu and Reagan, but it's Teru as well. And that just like seeing Teru trapped in the tree like skyrockets it. Which, the thing of it is that Teru had a strong will, but exposure to the tree is what did him in. It was the exposure to the divine tree. And Teru already likes Mob enough in the series, so connecting Mob to the divine tree, like, it just did Teru in, right? I was so hoping that Teru was not going to be brainwashed and he was going to help Mob fight Dimple, but no, he got hit the same way Reagan did. And he says he was an exception only so that Mob would tear him loose. He's had Teru strapped to the tree to brainwash him up until this point and was banking on Mob letting him loose so that Teru could stop him. That's what he was banking on. He tried to shut it all down. Bless his heart. The ones, in the end, the ones who have the most fun win. And that's when Mob is like, so you're the one who had Mr. Reagan say that. Yeah. So, yeah. And he figures out that what Reagan said was because of Dimple, right? Dimple was controlling Reagan. And, like, his hair is already, like, spiraling out of control. And he's like, yeah, you're Dimple. So, if we go back to the Divine Tree piece, and Dimple's like, no, don't be mad. Hanazawa was fine. He's like, but more importantly, I want you to join this religion. And Mob's like, no. He's like, you and I can stand at the top and have a blast together. Like, Dimple's treating this just like a game, like something that's just an objective to win. And Mob's like, you're not seeing the humanity that you're destroying and the cities you're destroying through this. And we'll talk about that in a second. He's like, you're already powerful enough. Why do you need me? And Dimple's like, well, we still have potential to grow. But it's almost as if Dimple is saying, like, I've reached my limits. I can't grow anymore. But with you, it could be exponentially better. He's like, if we look into the future, why not use more power? And you have a lot of it. And Mob's like, no. And I love that he's just like, I refuse. And Dimple's like, well, maybe you'll change your mind. And then he threatens Mob with, like, his family being brainwashed. His friends, he threatens like, well, everybody else, they're all happy with this religion that I've brainwashed them into. You're the only one left behind, which is a very like mogamy strategy, right? And he's like, no one's ever coming back. And I'm like, Mob can see right through that. Mob could just destroy you and exorcise you and then destroy the tree. And who says they wouldn't stop, right? And yeah, Mob's like, they're all being brainwashed by you. If you just give up, he's like, I'm mad. He's like, you need to return everyone to their senses. You got to even Ritsu and Master Reagan. How did you do that? And I like that Dimple is, I'm like, how serious is Dimple? Because he tells Mob the secret. He like villainous monologues, right? He says the first stage was to have them touch the divine tree and it zaps them, or have them ingest a bit of it, which was Teru. And he's like, I got into their minds through physical contact. So it's like the candy, right? The second stage was to expose the left behind to the passion of the masses. So it's like, basically, if you don't eat it, if you don't ingest it and you don't touch it, you have to be persuaded by the people themselves, right? And that's how Ritsu and Reagan got in there too. It was the people. He was overwhelmed by his surroundings. And now we've entered the third stage. Yeah. And he's like, all this faith is going to transmit from person to person. And I like that Mob's like, what's the point of becoming a god? Like, what's the point of controlling people? That's dumb. He's like, you don't even know what you're doing. So you're just hurting people. Why would we do that? He's like, what's the point? And then he's like, the city's a mess. Like, your vines and everything are destroying it. And the thing about it is Dimple doesn't know. Dimple's like, oh, I didn't realize it was destroying the city, but we'll worry about that later. Like, he has no clue what's going on and how much his power has influenced things beyond his capacity. And Mob's like, this is a problem. You don't get the trajectory of what you're doing. It's going to spiral out of control. We need to stop it now before it spreads to where you can't control it. Because Mob's like, you can't even control what's happening in the city, much less the world. He's like, stop it. I love that throughout this episode, Mob has had this conviction and he's not wavered. I love that Mob's like, no, you need to stop. Like, it's so perfect because I was worried this episode that Mob would falter and waver in his conviction. And Mob's like, no, I've spent the last 3 seasons growing to this point. You need to stop. And Dimple, I think Dimple underestimated how much Mob has grown. And Dimple's like, well, I didn't change any of their personalities. But Mob's like, you're basically making them do stuff against their will, though. Like, he's like, I know Ritsu and Reagan don't want to do this. And he's like, they're not happy. So you faking this happiness, he's like, that's not good. He's like, you can't make them do whatever you want. And Dimple tries to bring up this whole thing about, well, we live in a world of laws and societal norms that dictate how people act. And it's like, yeah, that's true. We live in a society and you've got to act a certain way, but there's still free will. You can still choose what religion to follow if you want to follow any. You can still choose a lot of different things, even if you live in a structured society. Dimple is taking all of that away, and it's like such a logical fallacy, right? And it makes me wonder, like, we don't know Dimple's backstory, and where he came from. So I'm like, was Dimple from a very oppressed place? And he believes that if he's not in control of the situation, he's just going to be used. And this is just spiraled out of control because he's a spirit and he doesn't have any humanity left. That could very well be, right? Man, I was really sad though, because I was hoping that Teru was going to help, and Teru has gotten brainwashed. He's like, don't use violence against Dimple-kun in the tree, or I won't be your friend anymore. And Dimple's like, see, if you attack me, I'm just going to use all your friends against you. Won't that be sad? And Mob's like, yeah, no, I'm really mad right now. And he just starts destroying Dimple. And then he has to face Hanazawa, and it's so sad. He's like, I've just gained another important thing in my life, and I'm going to keep fighting until you give up and leave, Kageyama-kun. And for a second, I wondered if Teru was just trying to get him to leave the tree because he was afraid that Mob was going to get brainwashed too. But then you find out, no, the moment he starts being like, don't hurt the divine tree, it's like, oh no, Teru is totally brainwashed. But the great thing about this moment here is that as Dimple and Teru are fighting Mob like fights Teru and is taken up by the roots and stuff, bursts through them, and then he's like, get away from here, Hanazawa-kun. He's like, you need to get away from these roots so that you don't get hurt anymore and you're not brainwashed anymore. And then when he fires Teru away, Teru like gets blinded by light, and you see like he smiles and he's like, you really are amazing. Like for a moment it's like Teru is converted back over to Mob. My God. Like, Teru just loves Mob no matter what. And yeah, thank goodness he gets blasted away. But then Dimple's like, I guess becoming a god isn't that easy. And Mob's like, it's futile. I like that Mob says it's futile. Like, it's just futile. Like, you're not getting away with this. Like, this whole episode of Mob just fighting Dimple, he's like, why won't you show yourself? And then Dimple does eventually show himself after making Mob fight all the versions of me. Because Mob's like, are you scared of me? And yes, the answer is yes. Dimple is terrified of Mob. I think that's very true. And poor Mob, like, just... He asked Dimple to come out because he's like, or else. Like, the moment he says, or else, I'm going to take a picture of that, screenshot of that. The moment he says, or else, it's like, no, Mob is trying to talk Dimple out of having to be exorcised. Because Mob's like, Mob cares about Dimple. And that's why he's been telling him all this time. He's like, give it a rest. Quit trying your schemes. Quit trying to take over the world. It's not going to work. Just be here with me and Ritsu and Reagan. You don't have to try to control everything. He's like, I don't want you to become a person I have to take out. Because that was Mogumi's thing. Mogumi was like, you're going to come to a point where you're going to face people who cannot be reasoned with. What are you going to do? And my throat is dry. Mob is at this point where he's like, if you don't stop Dimple, this is already out of hand. If you don't stop and just... reverse all the brainwashing, he's like, I'm going to get to a point where I have to destroy you because there's no other way. And he's like, I don't want to get to that point. So Mob is like crying, being like, I don't want to destroy you, Dimple, but you've got to stop. And Dimple won't do it. I don't think he thinks how serious Mob is. And Mob's like, no, I've reached that point. He reached that point at the end of season 2. He's like, I'm at this point now. But damn. And so the bad thing is all of Mob's energy has been absorbed into the divine tree this entire time. And Dimple's been using it for himself, and that's when he chooses to come out. And so Dimple makes lots of mistakes in this episode. I'm like, have you known Mob this entire time? Have you known Mob? I was like, have you known Mob? Because like there's certain buttons you don't press. Family, you don't press that button. Reagan, you don't press that button. Tsubomi-chan, you really don't press that button. And I'm like, Dimple, what are you doing? Like, stop. Because, yeah, that's the one thing you don't bring up with Mob. And he brings up Tsubomi-chan and tries to use her. And Mob just gets super pissed because she's, like, the one person he really likes. And then he's like, hey, now. And then I see what Dimple's trying to do in this situation, because he tells Mob, he's like, you get really serious when Tsubomi-chan's involved. And he's like, I'm going to tell you this for your own good. He's like, you need to know, while we're at it, I'm going to finally break it to you. You have no chance with her. And he's just like, I'm being serious. And Mob's like, excuse me? So there's two things with this, right? There's two things. We're going to talk about this. I am glad that Dimple brings this up, because Dimple has been an observer throughout much of this series. He's seen Tsubomi-chan around Mob. And he brings up a really good point about her that I hadn't actually noticed it, right? She's very strong-willed. She's like, the funny thing about it is that her and Mob are kind of polar opposites. Mob is not, he is not secretive about his emotions, right? Like, he is quiet and introverted and kind of socially, like, he's very withdrawn. But when it comes to expressing his emotions, they, like, flood out of him, right? Tsubomi, she is very, like, strong-willed on the outside, but she also is kind of secretive about her emotions. Like, when she has the whole freak out about the snot in the last episode, or the episode before last, she, like, doesn't want anybody to know. And so she kind of holds her emotions in, and Mob lets his emotions out. But Mob is very quiet, and she is very strong-willed. So it's interesting that she held back. She didn't take any of the candy. She batted them away. She, like, went past all the people, wasn't affected by them. And he says when you use your psychic powers in front of her, she just walked on by. Even if you get shredded, I'm sure she'll never need you. Well, the thing about it is, I mean, Dimple has been wrong before. So there's two things from this. One is that, yes, Dimple could be warning Mob that Tsubomi is so strong-willed that no matter how you change yourself for her, she may not notice you, and it may not impact anything. She has such a strong will, she only is gonna go after what she wants. But what it also means is that maybe she does want Mob, and maybe but that kind of contradicts how she's not really wanted to talk to him or anything. She just kind of moves forward. She's kind of flaky, right? She just kind of moves on from thing to thing, doesn't really stick with anything. That's how she's come across. Now, again, maybe she does like Mob, but because Mob's not strong-willed like she is and isn't direct like she is, she doesn't think he likes her at all, or is blind and hasn't noticed it the entire time. So it does seem to me like the series is either going to hit two different situations based on what Dimple's telling Mob. Either Dimple's kind of going to be right and she's going to turn him down or walk past him and be like, not interested, and that's going to crush Mob's feelings, and Dimple's trying to warn him now, being like, dude, she doesn't like you. She's not going to stick with you. Or it's going to be like a twist and she is going to accept him and be like, sure, yeah, I was just waiting for you to say something. Okay. And I get if she's waiting on Mob to talk to her. I get that. I am very much the type of person, I can't ask someone out. I've asked people out before. It's ended awful for various reasons. So I'm very much like the type of person that if you want to ask me out, you need to do it yourself. You need to work up the courage and do it. So I get if that's her MO. It's just she's had opportunities. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about her, but I do agree with Dimple. She's very strong-willed. She's very sure of herself and knows what she wants, and she's going to go get it. So the fact that she's not gotten Mob yet, when she's that type of personality, I see what Dimple's trying to say, and it's either going to be that he's right, and Mob just can't accept that yet, or Dimple's wrong, but there's more to it. So I've said this all series. I don't want to know anything about Tsubomi-chan. I know she's integral to the plot. It's going to be spoilers if you tell me about her now. So please don't tell me anything about Tsubomi-chan. We'll find out more about her as we go, but that's just my theories about her right now. But yeah, Dimple's trying to tell him, being like, look, but she's part of the Cycle Helmet religion now. So he's like, if you just, she's in the religion now, so she's not strong-willed anymore. So you could have a chance with her. And that just insults Mob, because that's like the worst thing. Mob's like, you mean you told me she's a strong-willed person, but you took that away from her just so she could get with me? Like, that feels cheap. And Mob knows that. And he's like, absolutely not. And the fact that he grabs Dimple and just like slaps him back and forth and smacks him against the ground exactly like he did in season 1 is absolutely amazing. I'm like, yes, please. I love it. And then Dimple goes back to the form we've seen before with him. He says, this is how you repay my kindness. And that seems to tap into a lot there too, because yeah, it seems like at the end of the day, Dimple's trying to help Mob, but Mob doesn't want Dimple's help. And he doesn't want to be a god like Dimple has. So they don't have the same goals or the same ambitions. And Dimple is trying to project himself onto Mob and get Mob to take the mantle from him. And Mob doesn't want it. So it's almost like Dimple maybe when he was alive maybe Dimple was like Mob when he was alive. And now he's this disgruntled spirit. And he's realizing all the things he didn't have. And he's like, but Mob, I want you to have everything I wasn't able to. And it's just like, Mob's not interested. It's so good. I love that line. And he's like, I guess I'm gonna have to get serious too. Like, he's not been serious this whole time. And then he goes into this like god form with the butt and everything. It feels very One Punch Man. It's just very like the happily reborn. Like, this is my god Dimple form. Oh my god, the great god Dimple. And Mob gets mad because he's like, this isn't your true form. This isn't you. And he does like the godly punch, the godly smash. And he has like this beam, like it's Dragon Ball Z-esque. And Mob's just like, nope. And then he just beats him up. And fires this laser. He's like, this isn't enough to beat you. And he's like, I've got all this power flowing through me through the divine tree. But he says Mob's power isn't endless, it's finite. And I'm like, yes, it is, but Mob's not reached his 100 level. And what about the question mark form? Like, Dimple, what are we doing? Like, yeah, Mob's power is not limitless and he's not invincible, but you are not meeting the conditions for those things to take effect. So, and that's when Mob asks, is this your true form? Is this your true identity? He's like, it can't be. He's like, it can't be your true identity. And Dimple's avoiding the question, right? He's like, I'm going to I'll make you regret not coming over to the side. And Mob's like, really? He's like, then why are you holding back? Because you clearly are. He's like, your powers, your actions, and your words are all fake. I love that, where he's like, they're not real. He's like, don't try to convince me that that's the real Dimple. It's just, it doesn't suit you, and I won't allow it, and I won't accept it. He goes all Lucille Bluth. He's like, I don't understand the question, and I won't repeat it. Mob's like, this is all fake. He's like, why are you doing this? Mob's like, what is your real form? What is your real purpose? Why are you going through all of these things? Like, what is your insecurity? It's like Mob has become Reagan in this moment, where he's trying to dig down into Dimple's problems and say, what is at your core, Dimple, that's making you do this? He's like, because I don't understand. I don't like it. I'm not accepting it. This isn't right. And it's not you. So what's the deal? And then that strikes a nerve with Dimple. And he's like, don't go casually denying the thing I've been wanting so badly. So yeah, so all the stuff Dimple says, like Dimple like trying to be kind to Mob, trying to give Mob things he didn't have. He's like, you're denying the things that I want so badly, but you could so. I think what pisses Dimple off too so much is that Mob has the ability to have access to things Dimple could only dream of. But Mob doesn't want it, and so Dimple feels betrayed. He's like, I can never have this, and you have it at your fingertips and you're denying it. But he's not realizing the reason for that, right? And then he does like he fires his laser, the godly beam. But the thing about the godly beam is that could have hurt Mob. He was just angry in the moment and Dimple fired his laser, but he was using the power of the tree, and he realizes, he's like, oh shit, I could have actually done some damage. Like, he actually hurts the tree. He's like, I used too much energy. Crap. Like, he could have literally hurt Mob. And that's when he says Shigeo, because he's like, oh crap, I could have hurt him. Like, this has all been a game up until this point. And the moment he realizes that he could seriously have injured Mob, he gets concerned. So it's like, Dimple, what are you doing? And that's when Mob is like right at the limit of his power. And Dimple asking how much power he has left. I'm like, are you kidding? You've been with us for 3 seasons. He's like, a little more and I might lose all faith in you. Yeah, Mob is trying his hardest to not exorcise Dimple. He's like, I don't want to exorcise you, but if you don't stop, you're pushing me to the point where I'm losing faith in you. He's like, and I'm going to have to do this. And I don't want to, but I will. And then, oh my God, he's like, I just want to know how you really feel. Say something, Dimple. Mob's like, he's like, I know that this isn't you. I know it's not right. He's like, I don't want to exercise you, so I just want you to open up and have a genuine conversation with me, and we can work this out. And we can stop it. So what's it gonna be? And that's the point where he sees the damn shirt. Where he sees the shirt, and then Dimple's like, no. He's like, I think what Mob wants Dimple to admit is that he wants Dimple to admit that Dimple has cared about him and that he's not evil and that he's just putting on this front to seem a certain way. And Dimple's like, well, I was trying to take advantage of you from the start. But it's like, Dimple, it's okay to change and your objective to change too, even as a spirit. It's okay to care about somebody even if you're a ghost. And I don't think Dimple realized that was possible, and so he's afraid and he doesn't want to accept it. And Mob's like, I'm sad. So is this goodbye, Dimple? He's like, I'm sad that you feel this way and that you're not repenting. And then, like, Dimple gets all powered up with his psychic strength and saying he's going to end it. And that's when Mob, like, comes out with the damn monkey shirt. And the face! The face! It has to be straight from the manga where he's just like the monkey shirt. Oh my God. And he has the monkeys and it just, like, zooms in on him. Yep. And Dimple's like, are you freaking kidding me? And he's like, holy shit, that shirt is lame. Like that, and that's the nail of the coffin. That's the point where Mob's like, are you serious? And then he's at 100%. He's like, everyone else has not told me the truth except Dimple. Because that's always been Dimple's thing, is that Dimple has always been honest. I think that's why Mob's mad at him, because Dimple has always been honest to Mob, like over and over again. If Reagan was doing something shady, Dimple was the first to point it out. If there was some kind of awkward social situation, Dimple was the first to point out. Dimple saved Mob from Mogami, so by being real. And so this whole thing with the divine tree that Mob knows is fake, and he knows that Dimple knows is fake. He's like, I trusted you to be genuine with me, Dimple. Why are you putting on this front and telling all these lies? It's not like you. And if it is you, then what was that from before? So Mob's like, I have all this confusion and anger and sadness in me concerning you and our friendship. And he's like, I don't want to end it, but if you can't stop and be honest with me and have a conversation, I'm going to have to. And it's heartbreaking, right? And then bring up Tsubomi into this, and Teru and Ritsu. Mob's like, this isn't like you. And if it is, he's like, why were we friends to begin with? So, holy cow. There's so much with Dimple and Mob in this episode. And it's like, it almost feels like, why did you do this, Dimple? Why do it from the start? Like, you had such a good thing. Why can't we have nice things? Maybe we'll find out in the next episode with Dimple's backstory. Maybe. Possibly, I hope. Oh my God. Again, I hope Serizawa is in class this whole time and is just like, what happened, guys? Because I don't think Dimple cares about Serizawa. He's not really been around Serizawa, so that's interesting that Dimple's not really cared about him. But yeah, this episode was crazy. Crazy. The action, the emotion. I'm so glad Mob has matured and become his own person, and he's like trying to talk Dimple through this, but I'm really scared. Like, I don't think Mob will exorcise Dimple, but we're on the final season. Next episode is like near the halfway point of... Next episode is the halfway point of the season. So, and this is the final season. So if Mob has to exorcise Dimple to save everybody from the divine tree, I don't know. The only reason I think it could be possible he exercises him is because it's the final season, but oh my gosh. I don't want to see Dimple go. But I guess we'll find out, won't we? So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers, but I hope you all enjoyed this episode. And yeah, I'm excited, y'all. So I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care. And yeah, I'm going to be back next week very soon with episode 6 of Mob Psycho Season 3. Bye.